All right, so here's this citric acid. I've got all the goodies in there: citric acid and salt and H2O2. So we're gonna go ahead and put a little bit of distilled water in here. I just kind of want to see what this is gonna do, if it's gonna react any differently. Oh yeah, we got some bubbles. Would you look at that? And what I'll do is I'll, now that I got some heat, let's go ahead and do that. Oh, I think I unplugged it. There we go, we got some heat there. So let's see what happens if that's copper or silver chloride, and then we will see if just adding distilled water to this gives that copper a place to go, and we can continue that reaction. All right, so let's check this out here. I've put a little bit of distilled water in and a little bit of peroxide, and I still think I've got those crystals in the bottom. So what I plan on doing is seeing if we can get that to clean up at all. See all that there? Sure our beaker's not too hot. Alright. So I'm just going to put some distilled water in here and see what happens. One, if it absorbs some of it, the salts, or two, if it cleans it up and it's actually silver chloride, which I don't know. Seemed like that changed pretty good, but we'll see if that settles out or if the distilled water actually absorbed it. So we'll go ahead and put that back on the heat, and yeah, we'll see what we can do with this. If it ends up being silver chloride, what I'll do is I'll filter this this solution off, get all of it out of there. I'm actually not thinking it's silver chloride. So typically, like if you got silver chloride, and then as soon as you add distilled water to it, like you can see that it starts to turn white, and this pretty much maintained the same color. Another thing, it also looks like the copper crystals we had from my last copper cell. So the one where I had my basket, the one with the basket, you know, the round basket with the little filter on top. The first go around with copper nitrate, I got all that that like blue. It truly reminds me of that. But anyways, I'm going to do a long-term storage on this. So what I'll do is we'll get rid of some of this distilled water. We'll keep some of it. And maybe what I'll do is put my gloves back on here. My goggles. Alright. Is I'll stir this up pretty good. See if we can keep that in the water column. And dump it off. Yeah, see how that's still that real blue? I mean, that's definitely a copper salt of some sort. There's no way that's silver chloride. Let's see here. I guess. Let's inspect one up close. So, I don't know. Let's see here. Pull my glove off. Try not to touch anything here. So we can see that silver protrudes out further than the copper. So I'm thinking the copper or the silver hasn't been touched with this. So we're back to this is a viable experiment. We may be onto something here, but we got a ton of those salts to deal with now, which isn't the end of the world, because if we have just a bunch of silver contacts left at the bottom, we'll be good to go, right? I mean, that's kind of the end game. So running out of distilled water. I know, I gotta go shopping. I got a little bit left, so I'll do one or two more rinses, see if I can get some of this out of there, and then I got to keep some left for the actual. At least tonight. I'll pick some up on my my way home tomorrow. Like this. Oh, I gotta zoom back out. You guys aren't even looking at anything good. There we go. Yeah, see it. That's definitely not copper or silver. So, all right, let's see if I can get this. Put a little bit of distilled water in there. I want to see if I can get. I've been having a hard time getting my stir rod to actually do anything in these smaller ones. Because it's broken. That would do it. Well, that didn't last very long. Do a little inspecting. Yeah, don't touch that top part. Bummer. Alright, well, I have a stir rod, so not the end of the world. All right, let's get some citric acid in there. 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. This is just the copper stuff in here now. I don't have the brass ones yet. So we're just going to kind of isolate it. See if we can get it working. And then go from there. 1 tablespoon of salt. Whoop. A little on the heavy side. Alright, and then close back on here. Give this a stir. And a little H2O2 in there. And now we got some heat. Let's see, since that doesn't work. I'm kind of bummed, man. I think I used that like 3 times. Well, there you go. Don't buy cheap stuff. If you're gonna buy it, go big. All right. Clean up my work area here. It's getting a little crowded. Man, it's funny how far, I can't say how far I've come, but I don't know if you remember my original movies with this little vent hood, and it was on sawhorses, and like, man, I don't even know how I worked like that. It's getting hard to work with this, and I got an 8-foot bench now. But I'm not really seeing a reaction going on. I hope those salt crystals in there aren't oh yeah, there's some bubbles in there. Yeah, there's some bubbles going on. Cool. Let's see. It's a fairly small process, like with the bubbles. I'm using my copper tray. It's got some pretty good patina on it. I don't know if you can see that at all. The bubbles. Yeah, you can see them in there. Cool. That's the OG Goodwill tray. That was my first one. And I now remember why I don't use it for the camera anymore. It's hard to see over that big lip. Let's see. Should we get the air bubbler in there too? Yeah, let's hook it up. So I've got those aerators right on top of those contacts, so we should be dropping oxygen right on those bad boys, so hopefully that helps the interaction. You know, if we can find the right, I mean, the heat would be hard to do, right? The heat would be hard to repeat. You know, if I want to put this in a 5-gallon bucket and put a bunch of contactors in there, I mean, you're talking, you know, I'd have to come up with the bottom so that I can actually, you know, I bet you, like, I'm curious if stainless steel would be okay, and then I could put it on like a chicken coop heater, you know, the water heater, just set it right on there. And those are outside, right? They're rated to be outside, those heaters are, so that would be okay. So I could see that working. I guess that won't be too bad. Just have to think a little bit. But I guess stainless steel is the next test, right? See if, well, let's see if this works first. See if we can come up with a way. I prefer not to heat it up, simply because electricity is pretty expensive, especially when you're creating heat. I mean that that stuff tends to add up really quickly. As we're like the copper cell, we're running 1 volt DC. That's nothing. That's going to be cheaper than any of the acids I come up with, and that's basically I'm just using my waste for the electrolyte. So that cell isn't going to be anything pretty by any means, but it sure is working. But this solution here, I don't see those salts getting absorbed. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll go ahead and let this thing run how it is now for, I don't know, with heat. I'll let it run. It's 8 o'clock now. I'll let it run for 2 hours. Right before I go to bed, or lay down to go to bed anyways, I will turn my heater off, just because I don't like that overnight. But I will keep the bubbler on from here on out until we decide to keep going further or put the kibosh on it. So there we are. Alright, so this has been rolling for about 2 hours now. The hoses aren't deformed. I was half expecting that. All right. Let's see. Let's grab one. See what we got. Oh yeah, I'd say we got that's definitely working. That copper or that silver contact hasn't been touched either. Yeah, that's working. Cool. All those salts are still at the bottom, so I haven't absorbed those. Cool. Well, I'm gonna let this sit overnight. And we'll get a good idea of what more time and more oxygen will do. Let's see here. Trying to get all of the contacts on the one side where the bubbler is going to be. It'll keep those salts off of them, along with keeping the solution oxidized right there. So cool. Well, let's see what that does. It looks like we got some promise. I'm curious how long that will, those acids in there will last while we keep pumping O2 in there. Actually, what I might do just so that we don't waste it. I'm going to add a little bit more distilled water. So if we dissolve more copper, it has somewhere to go. Alright, well, I'll keep you guys posted tomorrow. Alright, so let's see where we're at. I think it looks pretty good, actually. Now, I don't have any heat on this anymore. This is just from the solution sitting overnight. I'll have to look back at the footage. See if it got any smaller. But we can see the silver. Oh yeah, I definitely see that's getting smaller. Ooh. Drop it in here. The copper is definitely getting eaten up. So what I'll do is I'm going to add a little bit more distilled water and see if we can continue removing some copper. I had a short day at work today, so it's 9:30 in the morning. Actually going to a doctor's appointment. Get to see my baby girl today, so I'm really excited about that. But we're gonna leave here in about a half hour. We're gonna go. The doctor's about an hour away, so we're gonna be there pretty much the rest of the day. So when I get back, we'll see if we've removed any more copper, and if not, maybe I'll have to add some more acids. But we're definitely going in the right direction. We're definitely eating that copper and not touching that silver, so it's looking good. All right, let's see how far we've come. This will be probably the last clip for part 2 anyway. We'll do another batch and see how far we get. Maybe not batch, but my other project I got going on. You'll see that video soon enough. Let's see here. So like this. Get that back out of the way. Pull these guys out of here. It's working. That's a lot of base metal to remove off that. There's no question about that. And I imagine this would be this would work good with really like thin coppered, you know, like thin relays. I feel like it would work excellent that way. There's just a lot of base metal there. I think I stained my magnets. We'll find out here in a minute. There we go. All right. Get a good inspection here. This. Oh. Making a mess. I think part of the problem could be that we had so much of that salts in the bottom that it was covering some of these coppers up, some of these contacts up. Because there's a couple of them that still have quite a bit of copper, but I did see that they were kind of buried. So what I should have done is before going into that second batch, clean the beaker out like I just did. And I'm gonna keep going with this because I'll make a part 3 because I am intrigued and I want to see this all the way through now, especially knowing that we're not making silver chloride, but so we can see we haven't touched that silver contact at all, and we've removed quite a bit of copper there. So they're all relatively the same. There's a couple of them that got a little bit more. And I did pick out the hefty ones with a good chunk of copper on it because I really wanted to test that. Because I mean, you can see we've got, you know, just a tiny little bit of silver and compared to the copper. And I mean, we've already removed, you know, a good chunk of it already. But here's the ones that were underneath. So we didn't really get a good you know, it didn't clean them up perfectly. There's another one. But for the most part, I'd have to say it's working. Look at that one. That one's almost there. All right, let's get a weight on this. See how much weight we've lost. So we were at 10.5, and so what, half a gram removed. So I mean, it's definitely a slow process, and if you don't want to work with the harsh chemicals, I mean, it's clearly working.